Good evening. I call to order this meeting of the Knox County Commission for February 22nd, 2022. Seated on my left are Ms. Angie Nesbitt and Ms. Kim Ellis of the Knox County Clerk's Office. On my right, our Vice Chairman Justin Biggs and Mr. Mike Moyers, the Knox County Law Director's Office. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lundy.
Here.
Commissioner Derrick.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Ward.
Here.
Commissioner Schoonmaker.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Bustler.
Here.
Commissioner Beeler.
Here.
Commissioner Daly. Commissioner Jay.
Here.
Commissioner Biggs.
Present.
All members are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Schoonmaker, would you please lead us in tonight's devotion?
Thank you, Chairman Beeler. In searching for some topic for tonight, I came across a set of sayings that I thought were pretty sharp that not only my colleagues could appreciate, but probably the folks in the audience as well. And it goes like this: keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take just a moment to recognize a fantastic citizen of Knox County that passed away earlier this month. Roy Cruz was one of those individuals that was just an outstanding community volunteer and did a lot with the Epilepsy Foundation. And he was just one of those guys that when you met him in the hallway of the city county building, it was like he was your friend for life. And I had the pleasure and privilege of serving with him on the ethics committee. And we really lost just one of those jewels that we have so many of in Knox County this week. So I'd like to do a moment of silence for him, followed by a short prayer. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for the guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Allow us to engage in meaningful discussion and to grow closer as a group. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that affect the citizens of Knox County. Help us to remember that what we do here today is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Schoonmaker. I know there are many people in this room that echo your friendship and kind words for Roy Cruz. Commissioner Bustler, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure will. Will we all stand, please? Face the flag, render a proper salute, and say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Bustler. At the pleasure of the body, here is how tonight's meeting will flow. After we set our agenda, we will entertain the education and general government consent calendars. Following that, there is one honorary resolution presentation by our mayor. We have 3 presentations, reports to be given after that. Then we will have our first segment of public forum. We have 19 individuals signed up to speak. We will then approve our minutes and get into the rest of our agenda. There are several additions to this month's agenda. They are items 11, 13, 39, 40, 41, and 42. I'll repeat those additions: 11, 13, 39, 40, 41, and 42. We have 2 deferrals. Items 29 and 43 are deferrals. There is one withdrawal. That is a zoning item, item 51. The non-consent items are as follows: items 28, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 through 39 are spreads of record that will be read into the record tonight. 40, 41, 42. Then item 58 is at the end of the zoning agenda. I'll read those once again. Non-consent items are 28, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 through 39 spread of record, 40, 41, 42, 58 in zoning. Chair will entertain a motion to set the agenda.
Motion to set the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Biggs, second by Commissioner Durrett to set the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is set. Now entertain a motion on the education and general government consent calendars.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, is that both calendars, Commissioner Smith?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Motion to approve the education and general government consent calendars by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Schoonmaker. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent calendars are approved. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the first honorary resolution, and I'd like to invite Mayor Jacobs and Commissioner Hill to the podium, please.
It's resolution R-22-2-101. It's honoring Mr. Mike Laws for his role in rescuing 2 children from a burning home on January 23rd, 2022.
Have a motion.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hill with a second by Commissioner Bustler. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Jacobs, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Beeler, for allowing me to speak on this. And thank you, Commissioner Hill, for joining me here. I'd like to give you a little background on why we are here offering commendations to these folks, and then we will do just that. On January 23rd, a fire broke out at the home of John and Melissa Cox at 1506 Sergeant Lane. Only the couple's 14-year-old daughter, McKinley, and 7-year-old daughter, Eva, were home. The fire spread quickly, trapping the girls in an upstairs apartment, or bedroom, excuse me. When the Carnes Fire Department was en route, several neighbors responded to see how they could help. They were Mr. Caleb Alexander, Mr. Mike Carr, Mr. Mike Laws, and Mr. Nick Rokiski. Mr. Alexander and Mr. Carr are here tonight along with John and Melissa Cox and their girls. Unfortunately, Mr. Law and Mr. Rokiski were unable to attend. To show the true seriousness of the fire, Jacob had put some photos that we wanted to share with you all so you could actually see how intense the fire was. The group of men tried to enter through the front door, but smoke and heat made it impossible. When they tried to find another way in, they continued communicating with the girls,
And I think he was yelling to make sure everybody was out of the.
advising them to stay by the window to make the rescue easier. McKinley remained calm throughout, protecting her sister by wrapping her in a blanket. Thankfully, Mr. Laws was able to find a ladder, and McKinley helped her sister out through the window first and then got out herself with the help of Mr. Laws and the others. Clearly, this could have been a terrible tragedy. Everyone here tonight and the others who couldn't join us are the kind of people and citizens that we are proud to have here in Knox County. Their swift, decisive actions undoubtedly saved 2 precious lives and a family. In addition to the resolution honoring Mr. Laws, which Commissioner Hill will read, we have letters of commendation to present to everyone who played an essential role that night. So if everyone who's been mentioned would come on up here to the podium, as well as Chief Darren Long from Carnes Fire, I'd appreciate it. And Commissioner Hill, would you like to add anything?
Please come forward.
It is.
Chief Long, if you'd introduce yourself, and then the family, if you'd all introduce yourself too.
Yes, ma'am. Darren Long, Chief Corns Fire Department. Thank you.
This is our son Easton, this is our daughter Kimberly Parks, and our daughter Evie Parks.
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry, you can sit over there.
This is Mr. Mike Carr, who's one of the rescuers.
I haven't had the opportunity to meet Mr. Laws. I understand he's a very humble person. So I'm going to read this on his behalf and would hope that you would pass this on to him. Whereas on January 23rd, 2022, a fire started at the home in Hardin Valley Community. And whereas en route to the scene, the Carnes Fire Department learned that 2 children were trapped on the 2nd floor of the home due to heavy smoke and fire. And whereas a neighbor, Mike Laws, also learned of the 2 children who were trapped in the home and took swift and courageous action to save the children's lives. And whereas before the arrival of the Carnes Fire Department, Mr. Laws attempted to rescue the children through the front door of the residence, and he was overcome with heat. And whereas Mr. Laws then retrieved a ladder from his garage, positioned the ladder to a 2nd floor window, and successfully assisted the 2 children safely to the ground away from the burning home. Whereas Knox County Commission wishes to recognize and commend Mr. Laws, who, without hesitation, took life-saving action during the house fire to rescue the children who were in harm's way. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Knox County Commission hereby honors Mr. Mike Laws for his courageous and heroic actions in rescuing 2 children from a burning home and extends its sincerest gratitude for the exceptional service protecting the lives of others. Let's give him a hand, please.
And we also have letters of commendation that we'd like to send to Mr. Brokiski, Mr. Carr, who is here, Mr. Alexander, and McKinley. So this reads, on behalf of Knox County, I want to thank you for everything you did on January 23rd, 2022 to ensure the successful rescue of sisters McKinley and Evie Cox from a devastating fire at their home on Sergeant Lane. Having seen the photographs and reviewed the events that day, it is clear that but for your actions, along with those of everyone else involved, the outcome could have been tragic and unthinkable. In a time of emergency, you all stepped forward and placed yourselves in harm's way, and I commend you for your unwavering commitment to look out for your neighbors. Knox County is the best place in the nation to live, work, and to raise a family. This is true because citizens like you bring their best to our community every single day. I know all the first responders who came to fight the fire, the 2 young girls who were saved, their parents and family, and all of us who call Knox County home are grateful you showed up in such a meaningful way. We couldn't be prouder to have you here as our fellow residents. So thank you all very much. And Mr. and Mrs. Cox, would you all like to say anything?
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And you should also be very proud of McKinley and her courage. So thank you all very much.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just take a little personal privilege here. McKinley, I want you to come up here and stand by me. Oh, isn't she pretty? I regret I didn't have a chance to talk to you beforehand and introduce myself. So here you are, darling. I just wanted to read, with your permission, just a little bit of my own resolution and I'm sure your family's resolution too for what you did. You know, we spend a lot of time preaching 911. And here is an example where everything, thank God, happened right. On behalf of Knox County, our deepest thanks and appreciation to the brave and selfless acts of this 14-year-old McKinley Cox, who, when faced with immediate danger, did not waver. You put the life of your 7-year-old sister before your own. In a moment of extreme distress, you sprung into action, calling the fire safety taught both in school and through your home to be able to follow through, and called 911, and you followed the exact directions of the 911 personnel and emergency people when they got there, and you stayed calm and you showed a great deal of courage, resulting in a safe exit before the home was engulfed in flames. So I'd like to also honor you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill, Mayor Jacobs, and all who participated in this heroic act. At this time, Captain Jeff Bagwell, if you're in the room somewhere, will present our monthly report from Rural Metro. He is.
It's tough in a small room, isn't it? Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, Jeff Bagwell, Rural Metro Fire, 160 North Campbell Station Road. Our monthly report for January goes something like this: 850 medical first responder calls, 59 car crashes, 27 residential structure fires, 92 false alarms, 21 hazardous condition calls, 275 lift assist or smoke investigations, and 222 car fires, brush fires, or rubbish fires, for a total of 1,546 for the month. We responded to properties valued at 1.723 million and had a property loss of 82,663, which means we saved an astonishing average of 95.20% of the valued property, with just under a 4-minute response time. 60% of our reported fires were contained to the room of origin. Unfortunately for Halls, they remain the busiest at 174 emergencies, and Station 41 in Farragut is still second at 144. The North Battalion was the busiest overall with 573 emergencies, and to put that into perspective, that's 200 more emergencies than any other district that we have. So that tells you how busy they are. And the busiest time of the month, this month, was between 11 and 12 noon. Through the partnership with Knox County, we added 3 new educational videos to our YouTube library. We had a 251,000 views for the month, representing 13,000 hours of program time and logging 2.4 million impressions. We also added 410 new subscribers to the YouTube channel. In addition, we had 9 in-person events that had 535 contacts in total. Total contacts via all conduits was approximately 252,000. Our assistant fire chief was recently asked by Commissioner Jay at the POW business meeting last month how the fire department was doing. His answer was this: your fire department is tired, along with every other emergency service in the country. We have been overworked and in some cases even depressed. I don't have to tell you it's been a rough 2 years, and it's still rough. However, please know that we love what we do, and we love serving you, and we love serving Knox County, which is what we've done since 1977. Our fleet services have struggled with others to get parts, to keep trucks on the road, and our logistics people have struggled to get needed equipment. as have other people. I'm sure they're in ships off on the coast. They're just waiting to get here. I don't have to tell you, I don't want to be gloom and doom, but I want to be real. And I want to let you guys know how it is on this side of our fence. You need to know that your fire department, which is one of the largest in the state of Tennessee, is on the job every day. No stations have been shut down due to sickness or lack of staffing. They've all been there every day, as challenging as it is. Know that we're there 24 hours a day and we're not going anywhere. So if you've got any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain them.
Commissioner Biggs.
Thank you, Chairman Beeler. Mr. Bagwell, can you state your YouTube channel handle so the large audience that's here, if they want to subscribe, they can?
Sure. It's there's one that is for Knox County Fire Prevention. It's under Knox County Fire Bureau, and the other one is Rural Metro Fire TN.
Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bagwell, can you talk about the next recruiting class? Because you've had great success in offering paid training and a path to an EMS career. And I wondered if you had upcoming sessions.
Actually, one just started yesterday. It's got, we have 22 in the academy. 16 are in EMT school that will last for a number of weeks before they actually go to the fire academy. The other 6 were already EMS trained. They were either paramedics or EMTs.
And can you just talk about the program and you know, how long it takes and what the payment part and
Yep.
the path to a career, and just quickly?
Yeah, so very quickly, we have to have them trained in medical calls. Obviously, as you guys know, that's the majority of our calls. And then once they finish EMT school, that will last a semester. Then they will go on to add the actual fire training portion and vehicle rescue, and that may last. I think the end date for this academy is probably July or August. Once they complete that, they will be full-time employees of ours, and they'll be assigned to trucks where we need them badly.
And that is all paid time.
It's all paid time. They started getting paid yesterday morning at 0800.
Thank you. And so this summer will be your next academy or sometime early fall?
Yeah, I think we'll probably have another one in the fall. We need
Thank
to
you.
have another one.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Bagwell? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'll remind you, I know we've done this before, but obviously we don't have lights in this room to turn on to speak. So if you'll just wave at the vice chairman or myself, we'll try to keep good order of who wants to speak. Next, we have Mr. Mike Odom, President of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Chairman Beeler, Commissioners. Thank you for giving me the time today. Appreciate being here. Mike Odom, Knoxville Chamber, 17 Market Square, number 201. As we did last time we were in front of you, we gave you all just a kind of a little snapshot of some economic conditions, how we're doing. As you can see, obviously our unemployment remains low, but our job availability remains high. So just really quickly, as you all know as well, we have been beating the drum about the minuscule growth that we've seen in the region for our 25 to 54-year-olds. We've continued to grow, but in that age demographic, it is not really, it's been pretty static. A recent report further confirmed our concern. Heartland Forward, which is an organization that focuses on growing economic capacity within the heartland, about 20 state area in the middle of America, produced an analysis of the talent situation across the country. A key measure was educational attainment. So those citizens with a bachelor's degree or higher in between 2010 and 2019, so that decade that we just finished a couple of years ago. That report indicated that the Knoxville MSA grew this key group by 1.1%. So that means that even though we have a university, one among others, producing about 7,000 graduates a year, we're only able to grow that key demographic for us by about 1%. That equates to us being 339th out of 380 metros that were evaluated. And we were also last amongst our 8 peer regions that we look at constantly. So anecdotally, why this is important to us is because we're hearing from a number of businesses that they're trying to fill those jobs. They need, in certain positions, engineers, computer scientists, data analytics, they need college degrees. and we're not able to hold them right now. And so that's key for us. They tell us we have the right business climate, we have the right cost of living, but we need to continue to focus on quality of life. And so that's one of the reasons why it is further proof of what you're doing related to the multipurpose stadium is so critical and building up our civic furniture. It's also important that we need to really focus on housing. And so one of the things that we've been doing at the chamber is talking to the utilities about how we can help them try to speculatively put out housing in the parts of the county that don't have the water, the wastewater right now, so that we can start to get some housing across the spectrum. So it's also related to the talent piece is why we're doing our Explore internship strat program, as well as targeting very specific markets for talent attraction strategy that we've talked about previously. So I am happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. I'll call on Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Odom, did that study dig into more detail and at all about, you know, the specificity of why young people are not staying here, especially out of the university? And have you ever talked to the university about possibly doing some partnership or exit? I mean, if we're producing 7,000 graduates every year and they're not staying here, if we have X number of high school students and are not staying here, what are we missing that we can narrow in on even more? And how do we get that data?
The report itself did not dig into that because it was a pretty broad area, obviously. We've spent a lot of time looking at this. Two, there is a little bit of a misalignment between the degree programs that have the most students and the jobs we have available. And so we brought that to the attention of the university. And two, and I know this sounds cliche and passe, but we've got to up our cool factor. I mean, there's, you know, you remember it wasn't that long ago that you were a 25-year-old, 24-year-old coming out of school. And there were certain things you were looking for. And so we've got to make sure we have those. And something with, like, again, the multipurpose stadium is a big jump forward for us and is going to pay pretty large dividends.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jay. Commissioner Biggs.
Thank you, Chairman Beeler. Director Odom, you and I have met several times over the last little bit, and I found out one of your favorite saying is civic furniture. And so with that given, so how do you feel like since you've taken over as the director of the chamber, you have moved that needle in the right direction of a larger pay for those exact people that you're talking about, and also the attractions that were going to be available to offer to keep them here?
Right. So in terms of the civic furniture, we haven't done much. And I'm happy to, I mean, I'm not happy. We will not admit that completely. We have supported the multipurpose stadium. We are looking for the housing. There's other things we've done as well. The big thing for us, you know, in the 2.5 years that we've been here is to really try to put the spotlight on it and figure out where the issues arise so that we can start to address it. And so, you know, one of the things is internships. We really need to increase the level of internships, especially again with our small and mid-sized businesses. And then what we've been doing is when those interns are here is to create a network amongst them so that they get to know each other. They get to see the parts of the county that may be beyond just Cumberland Avenue. And so that they can start to feel a connection. And then when they graduate, they come back here and work.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you and all your hard work.
Oh, thank you.
Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Odom, I know that we in Knox County we only got so much land mass. So how are we working with our neighbors like Blount County, Anderson County? Are we working partnerships with them?
We are, Commissioner, and actually a big part of what we've done over the last 2.5 years is to solidify those relationships. And to their credit, they have greeted us with open arms and worked. I'll give you a perfect example, although one that makes me sad. Smith & Wesson, as you all are aware, that project went to Blount County. We worked in close partnership with that. We presented to the executive suite together on that. And then when it came to look at the site, we kind of went, we split up and then came back together. So we're doing those kind of things. We're also, if we get a prospect that doesn't have anything we want, we make sure that they look at the other parts of the region because we want them to be here. And so that's the end of our mission is to drive regional economic prosperity. And so that's what we're focused on doing is make sure they stay in this region.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Commissioner Daly, are there any other questions? Commissioner Bustler?
You made a statement earlier, Mr. Odom, about the education they're getting from the University of Tennessee and the jobs that we have here. Is it the jobs we don't have here, or is it the education, or is it a combination of both?
It's really, well, part of it is you still have to have the students go into certain degree programs. So, computer science is a huge need for us. And the university graduates between 35 and 50 students a year in that program. And versus supply chain management, we graduate about 400 a year, which is by far the largest. We just don't have 400 supply chain management jobs that need a college degree to get them. And so there's a little bit of misalignment there. Now, one area that we see them making huge strides is data analytics. It's no secret, you guys are probably reading it or seeing it. We need more data analysts, and the program at UT is really starting to make significant strides to grow. And so I think that's going to be a real template for how we can do it in other degree programs as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Mr. Odom. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you,
Great,
sir.
thank you.
Next, we have Chris Letzos of the Knoxville Education Foundation. I do want to take a quick point of personal privilege to congratulate Dr. John Reiswick on being selected as our next director of Knox County Schools.
Well, thank you,
Let's
Chairman, and good evening to the commission. You stole some of my thunder. I didn't know if I could share that or not, but in your packet, you could see a letter that I sent out on behalf of our board and our stakeholders, the school board, and what we hope for in our next superintendent. We're excited to continue our relationship with Dr. Reiswick and know that he's definitely and well-positioned to take on the district and to meet the challenges that lie before our community. It's funny that I'm here right after Mr. Odom. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Letzos. I'm the CEO of the Knox Education Foundation. I'm newish to town, and I'm eager to get more and more engaged. So we too have been working with our school district for Next Generation Learning to convene a couple hundred individuals to help us plan out exactly what Mr. Odom just described. We need to get much more intentional in preparing our young people and students to make choices earlier in their education. So that way they're better prepared to make the right choices as it relates to post-secondary opportunities. So you can see in your packet, we've put together some materials related to an overview of what our intent is over the next 3 years. Our foundation has fully funded this process in phases 1, 2, and 3, and our board just approved phase 4. That will take on the first 7 pilot schools that will create a freshman seminar and then a college and career access effort at the high school level. Year 2 will roll out to more high schools. In year 3, every single high school in Knox County will implement this model. And then it's not only our goal to help KCS reimagine the high school experience, and then it's our intent to go back into middle school and make sure again that 6th graders are prepared to make those choices with their families to select the right career paths. And our intent is to make sure that we keep them here. Not only do we need analysts, but teachers is a huge need for us. We know nationally, at least 800,000 teachers are going to leave the field this year. That's a big problem. And it's something that we're working to address with various pipelines of growing our own, partnering with universities, and calling together various partners around that work. In the packet, you'll also see some details on tactical teams. So we were able to match up district staff with community leaders, corporate leaders, business leaders to come together and help us create a strategic plan around the Ford NGL work. Our next steps, many of you will be called to action or to help us along the path of creating a steering committee that will be the champions around this work to make sure that not only does our business community buy into this and allow teachers the opportunity for professional development, but also addressing the need for internships and work-based learning and key investments at each and every one of our schools, from Farragut to Carter. We know that every single young person in our school district needs this opportunity. So to that effect, our foundation has also tonight, and you are the first to see this, and thanks to Commissioner Jay, Mayor Jacobs, and the United Way, we're announcing a $225,000 investment that will go to every school. A piece of that will go to every school in Knox County, really focused on making up the learning gap that COVID has presented to our students, but also to make sure that our teachers and educators and staff have the necessary professional development that they deserve. Again, we're going to lose a ton of educators and teachers, and right now, that kind of support is going to be essential. So as you can see in your packet, we're going to give $10,000 to the Teacher Depot, $5,000 to the Clothing Center, and then every single school, including our VPK programs, will receive a grant. And you can see in elementary school, the proposals and the spending has to go to literacy and numeracy support, or PD, professional development. In middle schools, they have their priorities, and then again in high schools. So on behalf of our foundation and our board, we're eager to continue this relationship. Each of you will receive an invitation to come and help present those awards to schools in your districts. And we're excited to continue our relationships with Knox County Schools, and now with Dr. Ryswick at the helm, to make sure that this is the premier community for all young people in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Letzos. Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Mr. Beeler, or Chairman Beeler, excuse me. Mr. Letzos, you said at the beginning of your remarks that you're relatively new to the community, having a long background in education with a fresh set of eyes. How would you summarize the opportunity that you see for our public school system?
Thank you for that, Commissioner. I think the opportunity is something that does not often present itself, especially in my experience. We have a willing community and a willing donor base that wants to get involved. We have incredible teachers and families that are really engaged, as you can see behind me. You know, I think we have a unique opportunity now to get really tight on our outcomes and come together and say that here in Knox County, we're going to graduate this number of students. They're guaranteed this, and that we'll do whatever we can to get there. And it's very unique to have a community, at least in my experience here so far. I have not heard one no in my interactions. Everything I've heard is a yes, whether it was to serve on a strategic planning committee for the foundation, or to participate in the Ford work, or anything that we've called others to action around for our public schools. So I think that really separates us. And as to what Mayor Jacobs said, this truly is a unique and special community where people do want to do good by our children.
Can you talk a little bit about the timing that we discussed in the board meeting, and we, in a good way, we have kind of the perfect storm. We've got a new superintendent. We've got potentially a new populated board that's going to be here in a matter of 6-8 months. We have 40 NGL. There's 6 or 8 factors that are all colliding at the same time, which could be problemsome, but it could pose a really unique opportunity to change things in a dynamic way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I'll make sure to send this to the commission so you guys can all see every facet of what we're working on. But I think what it does do, especially for our school district, as Dr. Ryswick takes over, is to look at everything that's being offered and realize that there are no sacred cows in Knox County. The only thing that is going to be sacred are our children, our students, and their future. And by just stepping back and taking a look at it that way, I think we're poised for some really tremendous growth and also for some really impactful and sustainable initiatives. Countless partners are ready to come to the table. I think between COVID and everything else that you described, it just will open the door to more and more supports and organizations and investments into our young people.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Letzos, for being here. I had the pleasure of serving 2020 is a blur, so I think it might have been not 2019. It could have been 2020 on the Citizens Committee for the Ford Next Generation. And unfortunately, my high school didn't make that cut, missed it by a point or two. Tell us more about the Ford Next Generation, and will all of our high schools eventually be there in a time frame? Because I tell you what, just sitting in on that community interview was pretty tough.
Yes, no, thank you, Commissioner. And is our intent and KCS's intent over this next 3-year period that every single high school become a academy model. We do have a name that will become public soon as well. So in year 1, we had 7 schools make the pilot. In year 2, our goal is probably another 5, and then the remaining schools after that. So what the Ford model does, or what this academy model does, and we have examples in Nashville and Louisville and across the country, it brings industry into schools. It brings those experiences to every single student. So again, as I referenced, if I'm a student at Austin East or a student at Carter, I know I have various pathways and opportunities for me and in front of me. I know that no matter where I send my children here in Knox County, when they get to high school, they're going to have the real opportunity and exposure to either go down a CTE pathway or an advanced academic pathway. And I think really what sets this model apart and what we're so excited about, especially at our board level, is the fact that we want to take learning outside the classroom and invite every single business in this community, every single industry, every single stakeholder to come in and invest. We want to develop the talent that Mr. Odom was talking about. And we want to make sure that this pipeline from birth to placement is meaningful and it really, it happens for every single student, no matter their zip code. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Daly. Commissioner Biggs?
Thank you, Chairman Beeler. Mr. Letzos, can you go to a little bit more in depth on how you feel like the trade school might impact you or not?
Yes, no, we're very excited about the opportunity to partner with the trade school and ABC. I had a great relationship with ABC back in Tampa, and we've already spoken here with KCS about opportunities to leverage not only the trade school, but TCAT, and then really bring learning down to students at targeted high schools in the urban core and have reciprocal relationships. So I think the trade school is going to play a really critical component in this, in getting kids hands-on experiences immediately, but also bridging those relationships and opportunities. I can tell you half the battle in my experience of getting families to adopt CTE is just having families understand that this is not only a job, it is a true career path. So to have a destination and one that they can go and hone in those skills, receive that mentorship, but then go back to their schools and still be in that pathway as well is going to go a long way for us in bringing forward to reality, or this model, this academy model to reality here in Knox County.
So on completion of the specific trade in the trade school, will you and the chamber be working together for placement into the job world?
I sure hope so. That's our intent. So part of this is, and I'll make sure Commissioner Jay or Chairman Beeler gets the full report. The tactical teams have written recommendations, and we have a team now writing the actual strategic plan and priorities. In there, we want to go very specific as to what the expectations are around work-based learning, internships, and various opportunities, and then what trades will receive the greatest investment. I've mentioned teaching, but if you're familiar with Fulton, we funded with Knox County Schools a public safety component and the city of Knoxville. Really excited that those classes filled up right away and are hopeful to leverage more and more of those. So yes, absolutely. You know, not only the chamber, but every company, small to large, we're eager to work with and have them engage with students before they get to that UT or Pella City stage.
Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill?
Hi, thanks for coming. This is really exciting. And I know early on, a lot of this was just a dream for you too. And now here it is. I just had one question about your student success grants. Is this in lieu of or in addition to the entrepreneurial?
Great question. Yes. So this is, we heard from our principals that teacherpreneur this year was going to be too much for our teachers and our educators. So rather than open up the pool, this way we're making sure that every single school is receiving financial support. And once we take some lessons learned from this experience, we know we'll be able to scale some of these initiatives going forward. So we're looking at all of our programs, from community schools with United Way to building out a sustainability plan to Project Grad, and now, of course, to Teacherpreneur as well. We want to make sure that every investment we make is scalable and solves a problem. But this year, we heard loud and clear from our school leaders that adding another thing to teachers, it just wasn't the time. So this way, we wanted to make sure that every single school was taken care of and that every single student could benefit from this kind of investment.
And I can certainly appreciate that. Our teachers have been under just unusual stress. So is this equally divided, or if one school has a idea that costs a little more than another school, how?
So we work with Knox County Schools to create 3 levels. Some will receive 1,500, others 2,500, and a third 5,000. I can follow up with you individually and share how we came up with those.
That's fine. I
yeah,
just wondered. Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Letzos.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to move into the public forum, the first public forum segment of our meeting. Before we hear from members of the public, I want to invite Sheriff Spangler to come to the podium, and he is going to introduce the Officer of the Month.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me just a few minutes here, and I'll be very brief, but also I think it's that important. The gentlemen you see in front of me have been nominated and selected as our detectives and our Officer of the Year for 2021. And I think it's important that we recognize for what they have done. And first of all, what I want to do just real quick, I'm going to read off about our detectives, plural, of the month or of the year, I'm sorry. On November 15 of 21, Detective Stacy received a report from Tennessee Standard LLC in regards to a stolen catalytic converter. Those of you all know that we have some issues with people wanting to take catalytic converters here lately and for the past little bit. But I think once you hear what is going on with these two individuals, you'll see what is going on within Knox County. Those two detectives began working the case and utilizing tools available to them. After searching the flock system, which is a camera system on several locations after several hours, they were able to identify the suspect vehicle. After the suspect was identified and located, he admitted to taking the catalytic converter from Tennessee Standard LLC. During an interview, the suspect gave Detective Stacy and Detective Salmons information on where he was taking the stolen converters. The suspect also advised that there was an unknown suspect from New Jersey that would travel from Texas to New Jersey picking up stolen converters. While conducting those surveillances on the target address on December 21 of 21, they noticed a white Sprinter van in the driveway with a 9-year-old boy loading the van with catalytic converters. With the assistance of K-9 officers Montgomery, there was a traffic stop that was initiated. During that stop, Officer Montgomery and detectives were able to locate over $239,651 in cash and a loaded handgun, narcotics, and 252 catalytic converters. December 23rd, Detectives Salmons and Stacy received information that an unknown male was en route to Jim Cogdill Dodge on Kingston Pike to purchase a Dodge Scatback Charger, and that the sale manager believed the information given online order to be fraudulent. Detective Salmons and Detective Stacy responded to the scene and were able to determine the information used to purchase the vehicle was fraudulent. Both detectives were able to arrest 3 defendants, seizing $1,465, recover a handgun, 964 grams of marijuana, and stolen Chevy Silverado from the scene. During the interviews, one of the defendants admitted to stealing another Dodge Charger from Jim Cogdill Dodge and a Dodge Ram limited truck from the North Knoxville Dodge Jeep dealership out north. Due to these two individuals, they were nominated not only for Officer of the Month, but they were also nominated and selected as Detectives of the Year of the Knox County Sheriff's Office. With that, I am proud to introduce both Detective Stacy and Detective Salmons and say congratulations to both of them. So thank you both very, very much for your hard work. Thank you. I think I'd be remiss too if I didn't say that I'm very proud not only of these gentlemen standing here beside me, but all the men and women of the Knox County Sheriff's Office that work very diligently for the citizens of Knox County and doing the job that they really do. Also, with that being said about these two detectives, most of this went on with them solving several cases, and that was over $207,000 worth of vehicles, and also seizing a $241,000 in cash. Both detectives were committed to this agency and working 14 hours a day, and this was during Christmas time. So again, thank them both. The next one is our Officer of the Year, and what can you say? I think we have a video here. If we'll go ahead and just play that real quick.
There's a police officer here.
He's breathing. No, it's not breathing. It's not breathing.
There he goes.
Come on, bud.
Please.
Is he chewing on anything? No, we've been driving in the car. Come on, bud. Two fingers like this. Two fingers like that. Go ahead. There you go. He's breathing. He's breathing. Come on, breathe, buddy. His heart's still going. He's breathing. There you go.
Speaks volumes. On Sunday, October 3rd, 2021, at approximately 17:42 hours, Officer Robert Simpson observed a female on the side of Shaw Road screaming for someone to help her one-year-old child. Officer Simpson observed a small child lying on the ground, not breathing. After feeling no pulse, Officer Simpson performed CPR on the child. Officer Simpson was successfully able to get the child breathing before the first responders' arrival. This is just one of the many, I shouldn't say activities, but one of the life-saving issues that these men and women perform on a daily basis. Our peers, or should I say Officer Simpson's peers, are the ones who nominated this gentleman for Officer of the Year for 2021. And I stand here very proud with him, Detective Stacy, and Detective Salmons, and to say congratulations to each one of them and thank you for a job well done. Commissioners, thank you for giving me just a few minutes. I think it's important that we recognize the hard work and what our officers do on a daily basis. So thank you for giving me the time here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, officers, for the fine work. At this time, we'll begin our first segment of public forum. We have 19 individuals that have signed up to speak at public forum. Due to the number of speakers and under our rules, I'm going to ask our timer to set the timer at 3 minutes per speaker. I will be courteous and try not to cut anyone off. I will ask you to please be as concise as you can. And here's my intent in that we have a very heavy zoning agenda tonight, and zoning begins at 7 p.m. And so I want everybody to have a chance to be heard before we have to break for zoning. Our first speaker is Caitlin Jones. Good evening, ma'am. If you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Yes, my name is Caitlin Jones and I'm from Knox County. I have a 6-year-old son with Down syndrome, Alec, who has a severe sensory disorder and was recently diagnosed with autism. We have learned that developmentally he is around 18 months old. Alec is nonverbal, but is used to using sign language and a few words to communication. However, during the pandemic, he regressed exponentially. One way Alec communicates is through facial expressions. He can tell by someone's face if he is in trouble, being praised, or is doing something unsafe. I strongly believe that his teacher's faces being covered partially by masks hinders his ability to understand what they are trying to communicate with him. Because of not only learning concerns, but safety concerns as well, I have been a strong advocate against masks for students and teachers. I believe if someone wants to wear a mask, they should be able to do so, and I believe my son has the right to an education and safety, which is lacking due to the forced masking. Throughout this federal judge's mask mandate, I have been a loud advocate for all kids with disabilities on social media. There were days at the beginning of this mandate that Alec was sent home from school due to his inability to wear a mask until I finally refused to come and get him. Because I spoke out about the discrimination against kids with disabilities, this led to other major issues with the school. There was retaliation to the point he was forced to change schools. He started the school year at A.L. Lodge, but was forced to leave and is now attending Farragut. There have been several other issues which can be proven throughout open records request. Alec is one of the lucky ones. He is only one of 375 students with the full mask exemption. However, even today, months later, he is not receiving the best education he could be receiving because his teachers are also being forced to wear masks. I have asked for them to wear face shields, but they are unable to do so. Unfortunately, this judge has not considered issues like this, so his teachers are not allowed to wear them. I was at the meeting last week and there were some comments made that some people were unaware of the issues facing our children with disabilities. However, I can tell you that I personally spoke with this person for over an hour and explained all the issues that these can cause. There were some statistics and facts given at the last meeting that were inaccurate, and this is very concerning to several of the parents in the community. Due to my presence on social media, I have received countless numbers of messages, comments, and I've even met up with several families. We have cried together because we feel helpless and are unable to help our children. Several families have pulled their kids from schools, and like myself, several families wish we could, but have obstacles in the way. Every day, children in Knox County are suffering, and for the families who do not see any improvement, this is extremely frustrating. 3 brave school board members have come to ask you for permission to the board to vote on hiring an outside attorney. Several others, I am sure, wish they could have been here. I am asking that you grant them their request. I'm not going to say whether the law department is capable of winning the suit or not, but what I will say is it will not hurt to have a fresh pair of eyes in this case. This case is harming students every day. Last week, a board member pointed out that it was better to pay attention now and pay an attorney rather than have more lawsuits filed, which I can tell you 100% could happen. I'm asking you to let the Knox County School Board make the decision that is best for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. One question, did you say your child was elementary age or?
He's 6, so he's in kindergarten.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you so much. Helena Rego. Ma'am, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Good evening, Helena Rego, Knox County. Thank you for hearing our pleas. We feel tired, hopeless, and frustrated. I'm not sure if you're aware, but at the start of the school year, masking was a parent choice. And a very small percentage of KCS students, teachers, and staff actually masked. It was approximately 2 to 10%, depending on the school. Our concern has always been maintaining the right to make the medical decisions for our children. If a judge can force our children to mask, and you acknowledge that he could force you to mask in here, what else can he force us to do to our bodies against our will? After a final vote in KCS, we had a victory. But soon after, we watched the lawsuit come and be denied several times by local judges until a judge 2 hours away accepted the case and granted an emergency injunction. But never in the history of the ADA were people an acceptable accommodation. My daughter refused to wear one. She was segregated and sat next to a poster that read, "Your voice matters," when she was standing up to a judge that said, they did it last year. Along with not being permitted to move from a tiny chair, the baby chairs, for over 6 hours a day with only busy work, she witnessed a special needs child be tormented to tears, manipulated at, screamed at, and forced to wear a mask against their will. 3,000 families have left KCS since October. Knox County failed those students, and this is not something we are acknowledging. How many more leave before the end of the year? We have very vocal politicians in our area who are very close with community activists who happen to have close ties with the judge. They flaunt themselves on social media, their secrecy, their relationship with each other, the judge, and their views. Even if they are truly not involved as they claim, why are they playing this game? Taunting us because we want to make our own decisions for our children as they shout from a keyboard, "We just want to keep KCS safe." No, this is about control, a win, retaliation, because so many did not share the same views as them. We're the only district in the country under a federal judge's order. We have been closely watching this case sit idly. Most children were and still are being denied exemptions, and the months keep passing. We know that courts move slowly, but in the meantime, we can't help but wonder why our local leaders are not fighting for the children they should be serving. A domestic abuse injunction was used as an example last week. And I ask you, if you were served an injunction that kept you away from your children or harmed your children, would you wait for the courts to handle it? Just last Thursday, KCS held a public forum in a school where all the adults on stage were not wearing masks. And I was assured by Mr. Buke last week that somebody would be hauled off to Greenville in contempt for violating an injunction. The consequences of not hiring a lawyer will end up costing KCS, Knox County, and our children more than this added expense. Please allow Knox County to hire outside counsel and end this nightmare for our children. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rego. Next, we have Molly Rago. And after that, we will have Brittany Warwick and Kimberly Parks. Welcome, Ms. Rago. If you'll state your name and the county you live in, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Molly Rago, Knox County. I'm a Knox County student and I have to wear a mask for the whole 7-hour day. I am tired of it. I'm tired of the stomach aches, the headaches, the dry face, and the breakouts. I'm tired of my peers' behavior because of their frustration interrupting my learning. All in all, I'm tired of wearing a mask. Please help this Board of Education hire someone who will fight for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Rago. Brittany Warwick. And after Brittany will be Kimberly Parks and Isabel Dale. You'll please be ready to come to the front. I know it's crowded in here. I apologize. What a federal holiday gets you.
Hi, I timed this earlier. It's way longer than 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If you'll state your name and county of residence.
Brittany Warwick, Knox County. Good evening. I'm coming to the commission today as a concerned parent and advocate for my children. All 3 are in Knox County schools. I did not begin this as a martyr against the mask mandate, although I've never agreed with it. I began to find my voice when one of my children was denied his doctor-ordered mask exemption. One of my children was written a mask exemption letter from his pediatrician for multiple health concerns. After attempting to go along with this year's mandate, we quickly realized it was harming him and not helping him. After delivering this letter to the school, this is where it all falls apart. I was asked to come back for a procedural ST meeting. I was given a pre-typed 504 plan with an offered accommodation for my son, a 5-minute break every 45 minutes set to a timer in his classroom. I was also given a typed document that states the district is only offering accommodations, not exemptions. This is your school district. I was instructed to contact Daphne Odom, the special education supervisor for Knox County Schools. Upon my questioning to Ms. Odom in emails, she's never once returned my calls or emails. Jason Myers, executive director of student support, quickly jumped on board and responded to my emails on Ms. Odom's behalf. I won't allow you to read those, or I won't read those at this time because they're very troubling. He may have jumped on because I found that Judge Greer's order stated the exemption process should follow last year's C-240 plan, which gives the authority to the school principal, or perhaps it was because I questioned another part of Greer's order where it states he would like monthly reports of exempted students' names. Regardless, Mr. Odom wasn't happy. That was my last interaction with anybody in the special education department. I've been ghosted by the special education department, by Jason Myers, by Daphne Odom, Bob Thomas, and a slew of other members of the Knox County School Board. So I did my own research. This is why we need outside counsel. I'm a registered nurse. I'm not a lawyer. Judge Greer decided to follow the 2020-21 mask mandate that was in place for KCS. This policy has a sunset date of May 26, 2021. It's over. We're following a dead policy. A sunset date is a clause, or clause is a measure within a statute, regulation, or other law that provides the law cease to have effect after this specific date. KCS is following an invisible plan. Given that, it also encompasses in Greer's basic orders. He mentions to follow the C-240 policy, which gives exemptions on the basis of this. Students, employees, and visitors may be exempted from this policy by the school principal due to a documented medical condition, IEP, or 504. Again, Greer's orders were misinterpreted by our law department, and information passed on to the special education department regarding exemption is misinformation. I won't go into the other part, but I'll say this in closing if I have just a few more seconds. All this being said, I'm not a lawyer. I have no type of law degree, nor do I wish to pursue one, but I do know that information is available for those who seek to find it. I know that parents will fight for their children, and this battle is not one for the weary. If the Knox County Law Department has not addressed the fact that the entire concept of Greer's order is based off of a sunset policy, then we have more problems than we could imagine. If they have given instructions for the exemption to be denied at all costs, We have bigger problems than we imagined. And if the commission does not act to allow the Board of Education to seek outside counsel beyond the uninformed and misguided management of the Knox County Law Department, they will have much bigger problems than they will have ever imagined. Problems that will shake them to their very core. Lawsuits by the hundreds from parents of students that have been discriminated against because of their disabilities, and hundreds of HIPAA violations and medical violations for these students, as well as the students whose identity has been given to Judge Greer without legal court order. Because no, as Mr. Myers said, they did not have a legal court order to disclose my accommodated child's name.
Thank
He
you, Ms.
says-
Warwick. I can give you about 15 more seconds. We
That's
have to move
fine.
to the next speaker.
Okay. A change in law counsel is imperative. Please give the board the power to fight this appropriately and take the mismanagement of 60,000 plus students and faculty away from the corrupt system that is currently representing them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kimberly Parks and Isabel Dale. Welcome, ma'am. If you'll state your name and your county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Kimberly Parks, District 5. I'm a parent of 3 Knox County students. I want to thank you all for allowing us to speak tonight and for considering the resolution that has been presented to you. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not an attorney, and I most certainly am not giving legal advice tonight. I am just a parent of children who have disabilities, who do fall under the federal laws. My children have been denied exemptions and accommodations. My children have drastically been affected by this mandate. They have fallen further behind and have even regressed in their education. So much that last week I was notified of their regression during one of our meetings. I'm here today in support of the school board having the option to hire an outside attorney. I support this because our board has been misguided on multiple occasions by the law department. We need attorneys that truly believe in standing for what's right for our students, are up to date on current active laws and resources, and are competent in their federal court knowledge, and do not represent 2 different viewpoints. First and foremost, many of us read that letter that the law director Buke has written. His response was clear, that he did not believe in our cause to get the mask mandate lifted, and that he was siding with the judge. If you haven't read that letter, I highly recommend you do. Second, the board meeting on February 9th, our board was misguided by Gary Dupler. Mr. Dupler on several occasions has said, due to the new Tennessee Code 14-2-04, that the board is unable to make a plan and needed to tread lightly during negotiations so that they do not violate the new law. That Tennessee Code is not active due to current litigations in the Tennessee District Court. The judge in that lawsuit has granted an injunction against that law. It hasn't been active since November 14th. He is not up to date on current laws that are active in our state, and not up to date on our current medical data that is widely available in our community. He lacks resourcefulness and cannot be an effective guide for our school board. He has even stated during the last meeting that he is unaware of any changes in circumstances, which if he and his office paid attention, the county case count is drastically down. Vaccines are available for children 5 and above. There are other federal lawsuits where the injunction was denied in other states. And COVID is much more controlled now than we knew about it, a year ago. The majority of the studies that have come out of the deep archives have been around since before the pandemic. The fact that they have neglected this information that I have personally sent to them just proves that they have misguided our board. Next, it is not in their capacity of handling an Article 3 judge, and an Article 3 judge I'm sorry. Judge Greer is an Article 3 judge. These judges are to uphold the Constitution and are held to the federal laws when it comes to their processes. They have a contract law administration process. From my personal research, my personal experience, and the law dictionary on Google, the legal definition of accommodation is an agreed upon contract without compensation. Keyword agreed. Which a contract has a process, offer, consideration, and agreement. And, usually you get compensated when you have a contract.
Ms. Parks, I need to. about
I
20
have
more
one
seconds.
more thing. Just let me finish this and I'll be done.
Okay, just want to be courteous to our other speakers.
The legal definition of a mandate is to order a contract. To mandate a contract of an accommodation on a third-party individual is involuntary and it is a violation of the 13th involuntary servitude. And it deems that this judge cannot order a contract without consideration. He has violated Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution. This judge and the plaintiffs should have no legal standing. And in my opinion, you cannot contract my child's body as an accommodation. Please vote to let our school board hire their own attorney.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Isabel Dale is next, followed by Courtney Hilliard and Jason Crippen. If the next speakers would please come up near the front so you can be ready to step into the podium. I just don't want anyone to not get to speak before we go into zoning. Ma'am, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
My name is Isabel Dale. I'm currently a 5th grader in Knox County Schools District 7. I'm here today to ask you for help with the mask mandate. I also want to talk about how masks have affected me. In August, I had tubes put in my ears. My hearing was affected. It's hard for me to understand my teachers and classmates. Just today, I had a sub. I could not understand her. When I can't hear or understand my teachers, I call my mom to go home. I also started having breathing problems. I have exercise-induced asthma. This caused me to have asthma attacks and breathing problems at school. Sometimes my rescue inhaler helped. Most times I called my mom to go home. This year I have already missed a month and left early a lot. This makes school harder. I have dyslexia, so school is already hard. This year I've started hating school. Previously I loved school. I ask every day if I can stay home. I wish I could see my teachers' faces and understand them. Just today I had a sub and could not understand her. I feel like no one cares about me and my classmates. Many of my classmates have medical and mental issues now. It should be a choice. It should be our choice to wear a mask. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dale. Courtney Hilliard is next, followed by Jason Crippen and Stacia Slusser. Welcome, Ms.
Hi,
Hilliard.
thank
State your name and
you.
county of residence. You have 3
My name
minutes.
is Courtney Hilliard. I'm a resident of Knox County. I just want to thank you for allowing all of us to speak this evening. I am not as familiar with a lot of the law information that the other presenters are presenting, but what I can say is that I'm a product of Knox County Public Schools. I went on to the University of Tennessee, and in hearing the presentation earlier, if you want to attract parents between the ages of 25 and 54, we are the only county in this nation that has a mask mandate. You want to attract them? That's how you do it. You don't force masks on children that are well. You don't force masks on children with disabilities. This judge had some, as you probably have read, family interactions with different members and plaintiffs. He is outside of our county. Did they seek a Knox County federal judge? They did not. They went to Greenville, Tennessee to make this happen. I want to start by saying that I'm a mother of 2 children. One is a Knox County student. The other I put in CAK this year. And the reason I did that is because he's in middle school and his education greatly matters to me. CAK has not mandated masks this entire school year. They have experienced the same volume of cases of COVID that Knox County Schools has experienced. My daughter has been, I get emails constantly about Knox County Schools COVID cases. They are so small in comparison, and CAK has never had this issue. I believe that parents should have the freedom of choice regarding the health of their children and if they want their children to be masking in schools. In addition, you want to attract teachers to this school system, I would suggest that you also lift the mandate on teachers. You want to know why they're all quitting? That is the reason. For the past 3 years, when I have dealt with anything to do with my daughter attending A.L. Lotz Elementary School, I have been asked for permission. From field trips to movies that are shown on television to even presentations regarding bullying and violence in the school. In every aspect, if my daughter wants to ride home on the bus with another friend, I have to send in a note and grant permission. This is not fair to the parents of Knox County. 4 of these plaintiffs, 2 of which homeschool their children. 1 goes to a private school called Webb of Knoxville. If you cannot see the murky water that this judge has created for this county in all of the state, you are blind. This law office has done an injustice to our parents. They have not fought for the 60,000 students that are attending these county schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hilliard. Jason Crippen, followed by Stacia Slusser and Brooke Lakin. Mr. Crippen, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Crippen. I am not a parent, but I am a taxpayer in Knox County, live in Knox County as well. I'm sure everyone here would agree that using a chain link fence to keep mosquitoes out is not sufficient. Wearing a mask to prevent the spread of the virus is no different. Viral immunologist Dr. Brian Bridle states that the mask pore sizes range from 80 and 500 microns. The diameter of the virus is no more than 1 micron. A water vapor droplet, which the virus can attach to, is no more than 60 microns. If you're outside in freezing weather wearing a mask and exhale, you will see for yourself that these masks do not work. Patrick King, a defendant in Alberta, Canada, won a case regarding mask mandates due to the fact that proof of existence of COVID-19 could not be provided. That is correct. To this day, the COVID-19 virus has never been isolated. When I consider these facts using common sense and critical thinking, the only conclusion that I come up with is that this is no more than the common cold or the flu. Maybe we should just have these students self-identify as politicians and celebrities, because we all know mask mandates do not apply to the elites. New Mexico just recommended all schools stop masks. Nevada made masks optional. Virginia made it illegal for any school district to enforce masks now and forever. North Carolina passed a bill to stop all mask mandates. Illinois just made masks optional for the entire state. All the law department has to do with Judge Greer is ask him for proof of isolation. He won't be able to do it. And if he can't, this needs to go away yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crippen. Stacia Slusser. And next is Brooke Lakin and Bob Fisher.
Stacia Slusser, Knox County. I'm not quite sure that I can compare to these previous speakers, but I will try. Why should the Board of Education be allowed to vote for outside counsel? Lawyers and doctors practice medicine. When a doctor is faced with a patient showing rare symptoms, they seek outside counsel. They go to other specialists who are more versed in those fields. So why shouldn't the law department representing the Board of Education seek outside counsel for an unbefore-seen trial and case like this? Next, as countries all around the world and the US have started lifting restrictions, these plaintiffs are asking for more. The most recent filing on February 1st, the plaintiffs have filed for compliance monitors at each school and a discipline plan, similar to a 2 warning, then suspension after those warnings, or a 3-person compliance committee of their choosing, stating that these monitors would unannounced observations to each school. I cannot go as a background approved chaperone to my child's school to randomly volunteer. Why should these outsiders? Why should these plaintiffs have the right to appoint a committee of their choosing to enter our children's school? Enough is enough. They have asked for too much. Finally, outside counsel should be sought because if the appeal with the Sixth Circuit Court fails, dates still to be determined, then our schools could be under this mandate until the trial date. The earliest speculations could be December or beginning of 2023. Personally, my child has been providing an ADA accommodation 45 hours a week for our schools. That's a full-time job plus some. They go to school in a hostile, toxic work environment since they are now providing an accommodation. This environment is due to the burden that this lawsuit has placed upon the staff, the faculty, and the students. There are no more good mornings when the kids exit the door or get off the bus. It's put on your mask, put on your mask. You're a 5th grader taking TCAPs for the very first time because you didn't have it in 3rd and 4th grade. Well, now you're in 5th grade, put on your mask, put on your mask. You don't get a 5-minute break. It's put on your mask, take your test, sit down. 45 hours a week. That is an hour on the bus to school, an hour on the bus home from school, 7 hours at school with a 30-minute lunch break, weather pending a 30-minute recess time. This is elementary school. These are little children. They are going to start wanting suspension for kindergartners who just can't sit still with ants in their pants. Please allow the school board to seek outside counsel.
Thank you, Ms. Slusser. Brooke Lakin, and then Bob Fisher and Beth Stovall. Ms. Lakin, if you will state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Okay, I'm Brooke Lakin and I'm from Knox County, specifically Powell. I've grown up in Powell my whole life. My kids go to Powell. My husband's a Powell elementary school teacher. I graduated from there. I live a street over from the house I grew up in. I'm passionate about my community, and that gives me the passion to fight for what is right for our community. When I grew up, my aunt had 2 autistic children, severe autism, and she never asked for the burden of caring for her children to be put on anyone else but herself. She fought for her kids for what they deserved. My sister also has a developmentally delayed child, and I never recall her putting that burden on anyone else as well to provide and give the care and give the services that he deserved. She fought for him. So it kind of puzzles me when I think about these 4 families in this community that have done just the opposite. They took the burden and placed it on the shoulders of every kid that goes to a Knox County school to keep them in adherence to the ADA ruling. This is an unrealistic expectation for all the kids to be a part of this contract, like the lady before me said, without their parents' permission. If you have a ruling, if you read the judge's ruling, one of the clauses is, or one of the statements is that the vaccine was not available when the judge ruled. Well, now it is. And one of the plaintiffs have posted on Facebook that they are all fully vaxxed now. So that should be off the board. That should be off the board from their consideration for this mandate. Another one that I looked at and is in the community is you have the little girl that spoke earlier that has asthma. Well, she sits in class and she sits with the mask. One of the plaintiffs, her only issue is asthma, yet she could swim on not 1, but 2 competitive swim teams all summer long, where she had to fill out a waiver to forego any COVID issues from the swim team. Yet 4 weeks into school, it's the responsibility of the school to keep her safe. I don't know why the focus is on these 4 and not the 8,000 kids in our school that have issues and the other 60 or 52,000 that are having to wear these masks all day long. The burden is so heavy. The burden is heavy on the parents. The burden is heavy on the kids. You can feel it. And all we want is representation from a lawyer that gives us time and doesn't meet the things that we bring to him with, I don't know, or I didn't see that. There's 200 evidence-based, peer-reviewed comparison studies on masks, and they don't work. But he's yet to say that he has seen those and he's reviewed those. I mean, a 13-year-old with a smartphone can do that much research. My gosh. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you to make the decision to allow us to have representation. Take some of the burden off of us. Take some of the burden off of our kids and let us at least have a chance to fight fair.
Thank you, Ms. Lakin. Bob Fisher is next, followed by Beth Stovall and Debbie Stafford. Mr. Fisher, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
My name is Bob Fisher. I live in Knox County, and in the interest of disclosure, I'm a candidate for county mayor in this upcoming election. I'm speaking, I guess, from a bit of different perspective than the other speakers. When I was at Adeline's funeral Saturday, I've been fighting this fight since January 20th, 2020. And I promised that little girl that I would try to elevate this discussion. This war is over. We are not going to mask in Knox County. We are not going to vaccinate. We are going to keep engaging in a culture war. That much is clear. Now, does masking work? Yeah, it works. Does vaccination work? Yeah, it works. You can, hey.
Gallery, please be in order and do not respond to the
Part of
speaker.
the county commission rules.
Folks, listen, we can clear the room. Please be courteous to all the speakers. Thank you.
Excuse me, lost my train of thought. Masks work, vaccinations work, but we're not going to do that. That much is clear. So as I prayed through how are we going to do this, I said, well, why don't we try to show Judge Greer we're acting in good faith? So I began doing research. See, the problem is not that we're masking or not masking, because we're not masking. I mean, we don't require masks on the bus. We let the cool kids ride to school on a bus with all the other kids. Nobody's wearing a mask. Bus drivers ain't wearing a mask. And then we're going in and expecting them not to catch COVID. We are not committed to mitigation in this school system. And as a result, it won't work. That's why we had a child die. But what we can do is commit to non-invasive mitigation. We can install HVA systems all across America. County governments are applying for COVID funds out of the COVID relief bill and installing new HVAC systems that clean and get the air, reduce the viral load to the point you can't catch COVID just walking down the aisle or in a classroom. We're not taking temperatures at the door. If we're taking temperatures at the door, we're catching these kids that are coming to school with COVID. And don't kid yourself, parents are sending their kids to school with COVID because they don't like any of this policy. We're literally willingly killing children. We don't have to agree on masks, but we better start agreeing that mitigating this problem is our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Beth Stovall is next, followed by Debbie Stafford and Crystal Scott. Ms. Stovall, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes
Hi.
to address commission.
My name is Beth Stovall. I'm a Knox County resident. I have 3 kids in Knox County schools. And following that, I'm just glad that Mr. Fisher could take his mask off so you could hear what he was saying. But my 5-year-old who is in kindergarten cannot do that. Okay. Just want to say that. I also just I'm going to go into a little bit of the epidemiology of masks and stuff. I have a master's of public health. And I just want to talk about a case that was in Cobb County. This is a North County of in Atlanta in Georgia. Very, very eerily similar case that was in Knox County. 4 plaintiffs using the ADA. They filed a suit. It was heard by a federal judge. They hired a private lawyer, and they won. And you can go, again, a 13-year-old on Google can go and see the motion filed by the defendants and all of the information they use. And I did that. I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm going to just apply it to Knox County. The district's position, and this is that masks do not work, is supported by Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. He's an MD, PhD, and professor of health policy at Stanford University School of Medicine. And this kind of goes into that there is information out there that the law department isn't either willingly or they're just, I don't want to say they're doing something nefarious, but there is information out there. So this doctor, he has published over 154 scholarly articles in peer-reviewed journals in the fields of medicine, blah, blah, blah. To state, he has published 6 peer-reviewed publications on COVID, including some of the most highly cited pieces during the pandemic. His research concludes there is no high-quality randomized evaluations that establish that masks on children are particularly effective in slowing disease spread. If you go down into epidemiology, the gold standard is a randomized control trial. There has not been one done for masks on children. He said rather the highest quality of observational evidence, different epidemiology from the US suggests no correlation between mandating that children wear masks and disease outcomes. The effectiveness of masks differs based on the type of mask, cloth versus surgical versus an N95. Protocols for replacing contaminated masks, how well-trained the mask wearer is in maintaining a good mask fit. I mean, have you met any children? And a large number of other factors. The best guide to effectiveness of masks, the highest quality of evidence are randomized control trials that will reduce bias from many sources on the effectiveness estimates. There is to date only a single peer-reviewed randomized study published in the effectiveness of masks. They did not enroll any children. So there is no evidence out there. And our law department has not brought any of this evidence. We need someone else that actually can go and look for this information and defend our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stovall. Debbie Stafford. And next will be Crystal Scott and Amy Bird. Welcome, Ms. Stafford. If you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Thank you, sir. Debbie Stafford, Knox County, Tennessee. I do want to clarify a few things that I've heard. First, my condolences to Bob with the loss of his loved one. I'm very sorry for that. As a licensed healthcare provider that's treated over 1,000 cases of COVID just in 2021 in January, I can say that of those 1,000 people who got early outpatient treatment for COVID in the first 5 days, we have a hospitalization and death rate of 0. So the reason people are dying of COVID, which is very real, is the lack of early outpatient treatment, which rests squarely on our federal government. That said, I'm obviously, if anyone knows me, in support of seeking outside counsel, but I'm here tonight really to talk more to the people that are here, to talk to our Board of Education, our principals, our teachers, our staff, and our students, our parents. The Tennessee State Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on the people's authority. For the advancement of those ends, they have at all times an inalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such a manner as they think proper. Section 2, the government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. Section 3, that no human authority can, in any case whatever, control or interfere with the rights of conscience. So I'm asking everyone here tonight, why is everyone still obeying? Why are the principals enforcing this? Why is the school board enforcing this? Why are the teachers enforcing this? Why are the children still putting masks on? I understand that there's a federal thing from the federal judge. I'm not law whatsoever, but I also understand my body is my right. I also understand that you as parents have the inherent authority over those children. Don't comply. Rosa Parks did not ride on the front of the bus because it was legal. She rode on the front of the bus because it was right. It was the right thing to do. So just stop complying. If you don't want a mask, simply take them off. School board and principals, stop wearing them if you want. If you want to wear a mask, kudos. I support your right. Just stop punishing children who take off their masks. Just stop. No judge has a right to mandate law from a bench. It's arbitrary. No judge has a right to tell a teacher he's never met or a student he's never met to cover up their faces. So now that I'm almost out of time, I want something on the public record. Justin Trudeau is a Nazi, and go truckers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stafford. Crystal Scott is next and followed by Amy Bird and Angie Gothard.
Okay.
Ms. Scott, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
My name is Crystal Scott. I'm a mother of 3 and a fellow family of Knox County. I'm here today to voice my concerns and my support to hire outside counsel in regards to the federal mask mandate. Parents have the right to choice when it comes to masking our kids. Current counsel has ignored and dismissed using relevant science and laws to influence Judge Greer's ruling. I don't like public speaking, clearly. Such neglect in the docket has deprived families of their rights and placed an undue burden on our children. The local school board and governor decided that masking should be parent choice, a decision based on science, majority support of its tax-paying citizens, and progress toward a healthy normal. Board members who advocate for the protection of parent choice should not be vilified and dismissed. They are representing citizens of Knox County and parents themselves. Bogus accusations in the name of ethics should not be used to silence individuals seeking justice. This is a restriction of our most basic freedoms. The Board of Education is elected to represent the community, such as requesting change when the public demands it. The current masking mandate is unfairly lopsided due to our current council claiming to have its hands tied. It failed to petition the court against using my child's body as an accommodation. Desperate parents are tired of waiting. We demand that our children's rights and bodies be protected and not contracted involuntarily. Please allow the board to seek new counsel. There is overwhelming research concerned with damages to children's mental, emotional, developmental, and educational health caused by masking. There is also mounting science that COVID itself poses less harm to society overall, with a widely available vaccine for those who choose to get it and surging natural immunity within the general population. No single study has produced statistically significant results to conclusively demonstrate that kids wearing masks in schools has any effect on their own morbidity or mortality, or on the hospitalization or death rate in the community around them. CDC recommendations are based on misleading and controversial data when applied to populations of school-aged children. Adult interventions to reduce COVID transmission, such as masking, don't translate to children. Our council failed to call upon expert witness testimonies from these doctors and researchers who bring these truths to light. Okay, I'm running out of time. Okay, this is my first time speaking as a Knox County parent in regards to excessive school COVID protocols that are not backed by data or common sense. But it's not my first rodeo on this topic. We moved from Michigan last summer, from a school district that did not even offer in-person learning to its students for an entire year. The district ignored the relevant data, its community's pleas for choice, and its students' needs. It left us no choice other than to leave. It was the freedom and fairness of Knox County that was offering its families that attracted us here. And as of Friday, even that school district in Michigan has dropped its masking mandate, regardless of vaccination status and case numbers. And here we are in Knox County, the lone mask district in America without choice. I didn't even get to talk about my son with asthma, but yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Amy Bird, and then Angie Gothard and Rebecca Reeves. Ms. Bird, if you will state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Hey there, Amy Bird, Knox County. I am here tonight to voice my support for the request to seek outside counsel. As a parent of 2 kids within the Knox County school system, I'm greatly frustrated at the lack of results on behalf of my children regarding this mandate. And I'm angry as there is no end in sight. They are being forced to do things with their body for which they have not given their consent, and we are not okay with this. Quite frankly, it is appalling that anyone would find it acceptable or allow it. People like to say this is about what's best for the kids and keeping everyone safe, but even the children can look around the community and see the hypocrisy and absurdity of that statement. Healthy kids are not dangerous or a danger to others, nor are they responsible as minors for the care, feelings, or safety of grown adults. As my 10-year-old says, we have the right to breathe and the right to an education. If this was about safety for all, the plaintiffs would have sought an accommodation or resolution within their own school rather than involving all 91 schools within the county. If this was really about doing what's best for everyone, we would be looking at solutions like getting air purifiers into individual classrooms with federal ESSER funds that were accepted for those types of measures, instead of implementing universal masking. If this was about safety for all, an appeal would not have been denied because too many people are following the rules, but then law department photographers sneak in to take pictures of our kids at school without our permission because too many people are not following the rules. If this was about safety for all, the mandate would not apply to only our kids who are around the same 15 to 20 children every day. It would also apply to places like a Super Bowl, perhaps, where there's 75,000 strangers packed in a stadium together. If this was about what's best for everyone, physicians' notes and medical exemptions would not be denied, and we would prioritize the actual damage occurring and delays being caused by continuing to mask children unnecessarily. We can see through the facade, and our kids can see it. We are tired of the game, this political maneuvering, and we want out. Our children's health and education isn't something to play around with. The disruption in learning caused by the pandemic has already impacted kids negatively, as evidenced by last year's TCAP data. We just want our kids to be able to go to school normally and to be left alone. We will decide for ourselves how to keep our kids safe because that is our right and responsibility as their parents. Therefore, we need to find someone with the necessary knowledge to step in and fight for our children's rights. My kids were not named in this lawsuit, nor did they have representation. My children, their bodies, and their mental health are not reasonable accommodations to anyone. I don't care who gets it done, but I believe it will require someone willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. Let's find them.
Thank you, Ms. Byrd. Angie Gothard is next. And after Ms. Gothard will be Rebecca Reeves, Elizabeth Allman, and Heather Carroll. Ms. Gothard, if you'll state your name and your county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Hi, I'm Angie Gerthert, and I'm a Knox County resident. Many of you know me. I've been here before. I always speak on behalf of kids. That's always why I've come. But now I'm coming from a different point because everybody who has been up here is speaking of little kids, of what happens. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. We have been blessed with a number of teenagers that come and stay in our house. For whatever reason, we feed them and they keep coming back. We call it tales from the couch because we walk by the room where they are and we hear what they're saying. What they're saying is so alarming that we have to listen, okay? They were in our house Sunday, about 8 or 10 of them. I lost count at one point, but they were in there and they said, nobody sees us. You know, we're just trying to get out of high school alive. We're trying to get ready for the rest of our lives, and we don't even know how to do math because our last regular year was 8th grade. 8th grade was their last full year of math with a teacher that they could hear and a teacher that would get close to them and tell them what they needed to know for the rest of their life. Out of those 10 kids, I asked how many of them want to go to college. These are kids that have been in our house since they were 6th grade. Okay. If I had asked the question, then every one of them would have raised their hands. Okay. Out of that 10, 2 raised their hands. One of them was not mine. What are we doing? I mean, it's at this point where you think the big kids, the little kids see the hypocrisy. What do you think about the big kids? They walk in that building every day knowing that they can walk right out and do anything they want anywhere else. Make it make sense. Because it doesn't make sense to them. But I'm telling you something. This generation will vote. They will not hesitate. They will ask questions of everything. So you think we showing up is bad? Just get ready. Because that next generation, you know, the Gen Zers who say, oh, they're not millennials, they're not in those Gen Zers, they're going to be in here and they're going to be wanting answers. And they are going to stand up and they're going to make everybody tell them why you stole my childhood, why you took my life away, and what was it for? It is beyond enough at this point. We have to show our kids that they matter and that we see them. And if you remember, I said, it is past time for the adults in the room to see the children. Please allow the Board of Education to retain outside counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilthert. Rebecca Reeves. Next is Elizabeth Allman and Heather Carroll. If you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Okay, my name is Rebecca Reeves and I'm from Knox County, and I'm here tonight to ask the commission to please give your blessing to the Board of Education so that it might get outside counsel. And I understand it was mentioned last week that this judge is God. And I get this. I am a former federal employee myself, and I have had my fair share of experience with federal administrative law judges, and they do hold the power. People often ask me if it would make a difference in their case, what attorney they would hire. Can I hire this one? Will it make a difference? And I would always say the same thing. I don't really know. I can't read the mind of a judge, and I don't know why or how they rule in a lot of cases. But what I do know is this is your case, and you have a right to be represented adequately. We owe this to our children as they sit masked all day in class while friends, family, and strangers in neighboring counties are sitting in class unmasked. There are also chronically ill children in all of those counties, including a family member of my own in a neighboring county. I have an 8-year-old family member with a very chronic lung disease who is sitting mask-free in a classroom at his parents' choosing, and they are actually appalled at this lawsuit in Knoxville. They have never asked a community to provide protection for their child. It is up to them as parents. And they take care of his condition on a case-by-case situation directly with his principals and teachers, or they homeschool him if they feel they need to. Over 80% of our children have had COVID, if not more, and have natural immunity. And we are treating each child as if they are sick. And this is what is that Munchausen by proxy syndrome thing that you talk about. My oldest is in 2nd grade. She was in kindergarten when COVID hit, and that year was cut short. Last year, her teacher was telling me she couldn't hear her through the mask and vice versa. I have thrown every stimulus check I got towards tutoring for her, but they also wore masks there and we didn't get anywhere. And then enter this mask mandate this year in 2nd grade. And I said, absolutely not. And I quit my federal job because of this federal ruling to homeschool my daughter. And I'm happy to report in just 2 to 3 short weeks, I had her reading for the first time, and not just reading, but reading well, because I finally had her in an environment that was conducive to learning. My 6-year-old went back to school in January against my better judgment, but she missed her friends terribly, and I now regret this decision. But she missed her friends, and now she comes home in tears many days, saying that her teachers back away from her if her mask drops below her nose and say, I don't feel safe around you until you put your mask back above your nose. So last week was Cat in the Hat Day, and Cat in the Hat came to the class, and they took a school class picture with Mr. Cat in the Hat. And my daughter pulled her mask down to say cheese. And her teacher, noticing this afterwards, said, you ruined the class picture. Now, my daughter did not ruin that class picture. She ruined the look of compliance is what she ruined. And people are more scared to not comply than they actually are of COVID. But I do want to report, and I'm happy to report, that while she did pull her mask down, she did hold her breath for the entirety of that picture, just like our friends in LA. So somebody could please tell Judge Greer not to hold my 6-year-old and her 1st grade teacher in contempt of court. I would really appreciate that. And if y'all can see how ridiculous this is and why we need outside counsel. Thank you. You'll have
Thank you, Ms. Reeves. Is Elizabeth Allman here? Elizabeth Allman. Heather Carroll. Ms. Carroll, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you have 3 minutes to address commission.
Hello, Heather Carroll, Knox County. Commissioners, thank you for hearing us tonight. I'd like to note, I don't see anyone from the law department here tonight. Commissioners, I'm here to implore you to approve the motion to hire expert outside counsel for the current case against KCS. As a parent of 2 elementary school age children, it was devastating news to hear when the judge issued his mask mandate. But what was even more disappointing is how the law department has handled this case thus far. I, along with thousands of other parents, have felt helpless as we are all handcuffed to this case, not knowing what or even if there is anything that we can do to get the masks off our kids. We need experts on this case, and we need them yesterday. Obviously, this is a hot topic, and while we can have our own opinions, we cannot have our own facts, because facts are facts. And here are a few facts I'd like to share. Since the judge sent down his ruling, 151 days have passed. For the 2021 school year, we had 3,063 families withdraw from Knox County schools. Currently, as of mid-February, we are at 2,063 families that have already withdrawn their kids from school, my 2 children included. But I am here today to still continue to fight for the kids of Knox County. You want to attract families, you want to keep your good teachers, we need to change something. We are losing families, and I have confidence that not only will we meet, we will far out exceed last year's withdrawal number. If this mandate is not lifted, we will continue to lose quality families and quality teachers. As I stand here today, I am still waiting on the law department to show a sense of urgency or a sense of care for anyone else outside of the actual law department. Currently, there are 375 children that have received exemptions in a school system where over 7,000 children have at least an IEP or a 504. 3,000 students alone receive speech services from Knox County schools. They are having struggles and problems getting mask exemptions. Did you know that 5th graders that are safety patrols at West Hills Elementary are being tasked with the burden of making sure their peers have their masks pulled up properly? This is not their burden. Students at Rocky Hill are being reprimanded for their behavior and being clipped down on their conduct chart for not properly wearing their mask. When teachers are emailing parents more about their students' mask wearing than their actual education, we have a problem. Teachers at A.L. Lots are telling their children in 1st grade, please pull your mask up so I don't get sick. Now, these are anecdotal cases, but they are occurring in the county, and this has to change. But because due to the lack of urgency and responses from this law department, one can only surmise they either do not care or they actually want our children masked. We need counsel, and we need them to come in and fight for the families and the children of this community, and we need it stat. Although this case should have never even been put before you all, it should have been handled. I thank you for listening, and I please approve the school board to receive outside counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. This concludes public forum. Commissioners, we have a scant few items to get through, to get to the end of the spread of record items, and I would like to do that and then take a recess before zoning, if that's agreeable. Madam Clerk, please read the next item.
Approval of minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved. Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Bustler with a second by Commissioner Jay to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk?
Item number 33 is drives and roads. A is Jesse Cove Lane. B is Bakertown Overlook Lane. They're located in Bakertown Crossing, District 6. C is Boulder Point Lane. D is Poplar Grove Lane, located in Boulder Point Phase 2, District 6. E, Carter Ridge Drive. F, Richfield Lane. G, Madison Oaks Road. H, Chesney Oaks Lane. I, Jackson Ridge Lane. And J, Canfield Lane. They're all located in Carter Ridge, District 8. K, Curtin Park Lane, located in Curtin Park, District 6. L is Ladd Road, located in Emery Brook, District 6. M is Torch Lane, located in Gideon's Lane, District 12. I guess that's District 2, maybe. N is Capricorn Lane. O, Virgo Lane. P, Taurus Lane. They're all located in Hanley Hall, District 6. O is Albatross Lane, located in Heatherstone, District 6.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Daly, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is approved. Madam Clerk,
Item 34 is consideration of the closure of the unbuilt portion of Chirping Bird Lane east of Creekside Manor Lane in Creekside Manor subdivision on second reading.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Durrett, I believe. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
35 is line item transfers in the amount of $337,067.79.
Motion to approve line item transfers.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Schoonmaker with a second by Commissioner Biggs. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Transfers is passed. Madam Clerk.
Item 36, budget amendments in the amount of $2,084,030.73.
Motion to approve budget amendments.
Motion to approve budget amendments by Commissioner Schoonmaker with a second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget amendments are approved. Madam Clerk.
Notary applications, 216.
Move to approve. Motion to approve notary applications by Commissioner Bustler with a second by Commissioner Biggs. All in favor of approving, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Notaries are approved. Madam Clerk, please read the spread of record items.
Number 37 is spread of record, the Knox County Sheriff's appointment of Captain Greg Stinnett to serve as a non-voting liaison to the Knox County Ethics Committee. Yay, spread of record, the District Attorney's general appointment of Robin Jones to complete the unfulfilled term of Nate Ogle on the Knox County Employee Insurance Benefits Committee, which term expires December 31st, 2023. And 39 is a spread of record, the organizational chart of the Knox County Clerk's Office.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will now go into recess. Zoning will begin at 7:15.
Snow. What's going on, boy?